That's right, I'm back, and welcome to episode 24 of the classic adventures of Anselm the Scout. Last time, as you recall, Anselm had signed on as a pilot for the ship Warren and was going to head out trying to continue on his journey and his quest to find his dad. However, he was very surprised to find another merchant ship coming along beside them, or actually behind them, and locking weapons on them. Turned out to be the Anastasia, a pirate ship that Anselm had encountered earlier on in his adventures, and he was even more surprised to find that Symon, his long time ago patron, who he never actually finished the job for, had joined up with the crew of the Anastasia. It was strange because at one time Symon and Wren, the captain of the Anastasia, were at odds over this mind control device that apparently is on the first planet in the Zarasian system. Symon and Wren were very insistent that Anselm join their crew, which he did, not to put the Huaran crew in danger, and after a little bit of niceties and a little conversation, Symon said that he and Wren had joined forces to go back to Zarasia to secure this device, and they wanted Anselm to assist them. And Symon said he has a plan. What is this plan? Will it work? Is it doomed to failure? Will we see what happens when you get inside of Zarasian prison? We shall find out as we rejoin Anselm. Yes, I am back. Had a wonderful time visiting with my son and daughter-in-law and all of her family in Ireland. It was fabulous, but now I'm back, and I definitely wanted to get a video out because I promised you I was going to. So here we are. So you remember at the end of the last episode, Symon said he had a plan. Well, let's find out exactly what that plan is. But before we do that, let us update our lists as usual. So we still have the same threads. We have the Find Mind Control device. That is still a thread that we've been working on, so that doesn't change. I don't think we change any of the characters. We've had old characters come back, so they're all still on here. The chaos factor is at 7. Now, that's the question. It's kind of based on the last scene. Was Anselm, did things kind of go his way, or did they not? I kind of feel like they didn't. But at the same time, he is sort of getting away. So this is one of those situations where I feel like I go either way. I'm actually going to drop it down, I think, to 6. I think that would be okay. I'm going to drop it down to 6. Yeah. Chaos factor of 6. And with that being said, what exactly is Symon's plan? So, as I say, after Anselm and Symon have discussed what has happened in their lives since the last time they were together, Symon does reveal his plan to get down to Zarasia. Now, he needs a plan because, if you remember, at one time there were just satellites around that first planet alerting the authorities if anybody lingered too long around the planet. Now, because of Symon and Anselm's actions in the earlier episode, I'll try to make sure to link that up here somewhere, they actually have a patrol who checks that out. So, I am going to go to Meaning Tables Actions to see what is Symon's plan. Are there any others that might be appropriate? Character actions, I don't think that would be. I was thinking about that one. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. I think it's just going to be actions. So we're going to roll on the 2 action tables using Mythic GME 2nd edition. So what do we have first? We get a 43. 43 is going to be fail. This does not bode well immediately. All right. Fail and 35. Fail friend. Okay. Oh, of course. That's actually a lot simpler than I thought it might be. And here's why. Anselm and Symon are together, and Symon is imparting his plan, and he says, Anselm, this time I believe we are going to prevail in this little endeavor you and I have embarked on, that we started so many months, weeks. It seems like forever ago now, doesn't it? Anyway, I believe I have almost a foolproof plan that will allow us to get down to the ravine and search for this device. Anselm, bit dubious, says, Symon, if I remember correctly, neither of us are supposed to be in the Zarasian system, and they do now have ongoing patrols that are going to be watching to see if anybody approaches the planet, never mind trying to land on it or put down people a party. And yes, Symon says, "That they do. And if it were merely the cameras, we might be in a bit of a more difficult situation, but spaceships need to be manned by people, and people have prices." And Anselm says, "You've bought off somebody that's supposed to be guarding the ravine, I take it." And Symon says, "I merely extended some generosity to a few people who could use it and were very appreciative, and of course, since I was generous to them, they said they would be generous in return." Anselm kind of nods knowingly. He says, "Well, okay, is this person that you've been generous to trustworthy? Is this somebody we can count on not to turn us in the minute we show up?" And I believe Symon would say, "Of course, I have no doubt that this person will become honorable and follow through with their obligations when the time is right." Anselm says, "Well, I certainly hope you're right. I have many things going on, and being incarcerated definitely is not on my plan." Symon, and neither am I. Mine either. No, I've seen the inside of a Zarasian facility more than I care to. Yes, well, as you know, it will take us a bit to get to Zarasia, so please, wander around, get to know everyone, make yourself at home. Soon, you and I shall embark on this grand mission. And Anselm's like, "Yeah, this is great." And he turns and leaves the area. Something I want to roll. Well, no, not something I want to roll now. That'll be a question, something that happens later. Okay, that's really weird, but I feel like that was an end of a scene. And so I am going to say that's the end of the scene. At this point, we would change. I'm not going to change the chaos factor because I just changed it. So, what is my next scene? That should test my next scene. My next scene is, and let's look up here. We are in Hesia Prime, which is Hex 0502. For those of you following along at home, you do have access to my map and my information about the subsector. Last video, I think I put a link down there. It is in the Google Drive. So if you want to check it out, print it out, see it on your computer, as I say, follow along with the travels of Anselm and his amazing friends, feel free to do that. So right now we're in Hesia Prime. Hesia is how I've been pronouncing that. 0502. They need to get to Zarasia over at 0703. So that is a 2 jump. If I remember correctly, though, the Anastasia is a merchant ship, and it is a 1 jump. Because it is just a merchant, it's not a far trader. The other one was a far trader, the Huaran he was on. So it is. Let's just roll. Isn't it? This is a. We've got dice. We've got a fate chart. Let's use it. We paid money for this, right? Let's use it. All right. So is this just a regular trader or is it a far trader? Chaos factor 6. I'm going to say it is very unlikely that it's a far trader. So that only means there's a 35% chance or less that yes, it is a far trader. They can make it in one go. What do we got here? 18. It is a far trader. It is a far trader. All right, it's not an exceptional yes, but it is a yes. So it is a far trader. Let me make a note so I remember that for next time. The Anastasia, we know it has a beam laser, and it is a far trader. So it can jump all the way to, and I've lost the lead in my pencil. Let's do something about that quickly. All right, I'll go ahead and put some more lead in my pencil. This will not make the edit because I don't think this is the kind of stuff you tuned in to see on YouTube. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I think if I was terribly in tune with what people wanted to see on YouTube, I might not be solo traveler things. Solo's big now, though. If you look on YouTube, there's a lot of people doing solo. So I do recommend, if you like this and you're a fan of solo role-playing, check out some of the other channels. None of the titles and none of the channel names are coming to mind right now. But, yeah, check out. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things. I want to think there's somebody else doing potentially Traveler as well. So, let's just talk some more while I fumble sadly to get this. There we go, finally, I think. Yes! Success! Can we... look at that. Technology. Technology is great. All right, the Anastasia is a far trader, which again means it can jump 2 sectors. And that is what it's going to do. It is going to jump all the way from Hestia Prime all the way to Zarasia, which means they're going to be there for weeks. So they do make all the preparations. They head out. It also means that Anselm is stuck on a pirate ship with Symon, Ren, and the various other people who are on the ship. So maybe he'll get a chance to speak to a few people. There's only 4 other people other than he and Symon on the ship. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. As they are getting ready, everything is prepared. We do, I think, already have a pilot on here. Actually, Ren was acting as the pilot. Would Ren let Anselm be the pilot? I don't think so. I think Anselm is merely a passenger at this point. So, Ren is the pilot. He sets in the course. He punches the drive, and they are in jump space, heading to Taklon. Now, they've got a week to hang out. So I think the natural inclination would be he would speak to these people. He'd get to know them a little bit. And just sound them out and sort of see what is their deal, what's going on. So I think that is what Anselm was going to do. That is going to be my expected scene. So, my expected scene, which I need to test, is that Anselm does go to the galley, and he is going to see who is there, and can he strike up a conversation. So we're going to see, that's the expected scene. We do need to test that. That's a D10, and we're going to see if we roll the chaos factor or less, so 6 or less, we have a change to that. So do we get that? It is a 10. No, so it is our expected scene. He goes into the galley, and there is someone there. Who is there? I'm going to say it's not Ren right now. We have 3 other people. We have Sid, the gunner. We have Ali, the engineer. And we have Darpana, the sensor operator. And we're going to see, I'm going to roll a D6. So yeah, 1 and 2 is Sid, 3 and 4 is Ali, and 5 and 6 is Darpana. So who is in the galley? 3 is going to be Ali. Who is the engineer? Ali the engineer. Yes. So he does go in. He sees Ali the engineer. I don't think I worked up any information about them, so I'm going to do a little bit of that here real quick. I say quick. It'll be a little bit. Quickly, we have their appearance, their personality, their descriptors, and motivations. A lot of character tables here in Mythic GME 2nd edition. Character skills and character traits and flaws. I think what we're going to do appearance, we might do motivator, and we might do traits and flaws. Just to see what. Actually, let's roll it up as we need it. Let's say first of all, let's do the appearance. What does Ali look like? First of all, let me roll if Ali is male or female. I haven't rolled that, so I'm going to roll 1 to 3 female, 4 to 6 male. That's going to be 6. So Ali is male. And what kind of appearance does Ali have? 27. They are equipment. Strange. All right. I guess it makes sense for a ship's engineer. Might have equipment all over them, little tools in pouches. I can see somebody that has a coverall that has tons of little pouches and pockets everywhere. Maybe a belt with all kinds of spanners and wrenches and left-handed simulflanges and things like that on it. And 84. 84 is small. All right. So small. Ali is small and covered in equipment, in a belt, in pockets all over the jumpsuit. And Anselm will come in. So he's a very sort of slight, small, maybe a short sort of, maybe not slight, but a small, short little, a short male. And he says, well, I guess we're going to be stuck here for a while. Perhaps we should take some time, pass the time to get to know each other. I'm Anselm. You may know that I've what brings you to be part of Ren's crew? First of all, let's see what is Ali's reaction to Anselm. I'm going to find the reaction tables in the Traveler book. Where is that? reactions. I believe that is when you meet on the, there we go. Yes, on the encounters, meeting ships and systems and things like that. All right, so we do have 2d12. Anselm's social standing is not high enough that he would get a bonus. As a matter of fact, I think with a 6, he does not get a penalty. That's good. So let's roll 2d6, add them together, and let's see, how does Allie feel about Anselm already? That is a 9, and 9 is intrigued. So Allie is intrigued by Anselm. That is handy. And so Allie says, "So you're the famous Anselm that I've heard so much about. You spent 5 terms in the Scouts. That's quite a feat. I don't mind telling you. How did you do something like that? Did you just not have any really dangerous assignments, or how did you make it through?" And Anselm says, "Well, actually, I had some very, very dangerous assignments. I was on a volcanic world for a while doing some surveying. I was on a jungle that had all kinds of deadly, really vicious sort of beasts. Is quite rough." And he tells his sort of story a little bit to Allie. Allie is intrigued. He is interested in Anselm. I think Anselm kind of wants to feel out, does the crew know what's going on? Do they know what Ren and Symon and he are going for? How much do they know? So he says, so, Allie, well, actually, Anselm asked him a question. I didn't follow that. So let's do that. He says, so, what made you sign on to this crew? What brings you here? What did bring him here? Let's find out. I feel like that would be a motivation question. What would be his motivation? Let's find the motivation table. That is on page, if I remember correctly, yes, page 205 in the Mythic 2nd edition GME book. What is his motivations? Allie's motivations are 05, approval. Okay, make some notes here. Actually, make notes on the notebook here. So his motivation is approval and 30. And that is going to be approval and free. All right. Okay. Yes. So I feel like Allie would say, well, I come from a long line of engineers, people that are good with their hands, mechanics, people are like that. And, well, I was looking for an opportunity to use the skills that I learned. And, well, Ren seems like he needs a lot of help. He sort of points around to the ship. He goes, Anastasia, well, as you can tell, it's not necessarily, not in the peak condition. It takes a lot of work to keep this old rust bucket running. But yeah, she's a good one. She's a good one. And of course, just the ability to be out amongst the stars, to go where you want, when you want, not have to answer to anybody, kind of be master of your own fate. I really kind of like that. So that's what he learns. Anselm's going to say, I know we're going back to Zarasia. How would he say that? He wants to kind of say, do you know what we're going for, without saying, do you know what we're going for? He'll just say that. Why not? So do you know why we're headed back to Zarasia? Kind of not giving it away if he can. Does Allie know? We're at a chaos factor of 6. I'm going to say that's 50-50. I don't know that Ren would have told them. So that is a 65% chance or less that, yes, Allie does know why they're going back. And with a 47, yes, he says, oh, yeah, well, I know definitely why. We're going back to find whatever this special, mind control, reality warping, this fancy ancient device that apparently crash landed. Apparently it's worth a lot of money, and so when we get that, not only can we fix this thing up, matter of fact, we'll just scrap this thing. We will buy a new ship. I'll buy my own ship. With my share, I should be able to afford my own. So Anselm does say, well, all right, good to meet you. And he does move on. So Anselm wishes Allie well. He does turn and leaves the galley. And I'm going to say he heads to the bridge now to see if he can meet either Darpana or maybe talk to Ren. I don't know that he wants to talk to Ren, but I think he is going to go to the bridge looking for Darpana. I think he wants to talk to the crew. to sound them out, feel how they're feeling about this. And because he knows, Anselm knows, that Ren and Symon were in conflict over this thing, he's not 100% comfortable about this alliance. He's not sure he trusts Symon. He definitely doesn't trust Ren. And the two of them together, yeah, he's not feeling great about what's going to happen, what's going to go down. So, I think he's trying to sound out the crew. So he does go to find Darpanna. Does he find Darpanna on the bridge? I feel like the Sensorop would be on or near the bridge. So I'm going to say that is very likely. 85% chance or less that yes, that is where Darpanna is. 30 is yes. That is exactly where Darpanna is. I'm not sure, is Darpanna a male or a female name? I'm just going to roll to see, is Darpanna male or female? Again, 1 to 3 is female. And Darpanna is a male. All right, so Darpanna is a male. And Anselm does find him on the bridge. What is the appearance of Darpanna? Let's find that character appearance table again. See what he looks like. Here we go. All right. What does Darpanna look like? 37. And that is, I think we did that before. Oh no, that's frail. Frail. All right, so Darpanna is frail. And 21. Frail and delicate. All right. So Darpanna. As Anselm goes to the bridge, the doors do open, and walks in and sees a very, very pale, very thin person there at the Sensorop station. I sort of feel that they have very pale skin. I sort of feel like they have very long fingers, very long hands. I feel like they're maybe a very tall but very willowy looking person. I have a feeling that he has kind of not thin hair in the fact that it's balding. He doesn't have a bald spot like some folks that we could mention. But I feel like his hair is very thin. He has a very, pale complexion. Has very, you can see the circles around his eyes. Very frail, very delicate. Is this frail, delicate situation from a condition, or is this just his natural state of being? Let's just roll to find out. It's just interesting to see for me. That's going to be 50-50. So, 65 or less? No, it is not. This is just how Darpanna is. So, Anselm goes up, introduces himself. He says, I'm Anselm. Good to meet you. I thought since we're going to be in jump space for a while together, maybe I should get to know you guys. Just curious about. Well, what would he say? At this point, it's kind of the same thing as he's like, what brings you to the crew? Why are you part of this crew? How do you like working for Ren? Various things like that. What does Darpanna say? I feel like Darpanna has a very kind of, very quiet, whispery, sort of gravelly voice a little bit. And so Darpanna says, well, yeah, first of all, let's see what is Darpanna's reaction to Anselm. Is Darpanna even going to speak to Anselm? I don't know. I should find something to put in this spot. I need a bookmark, so I don't have to go back to this every time. But that is page 101. I didn't say that before. 101 in the Traveler book. What is Darpanna's reaction to Anselm? Oops. I'm going to count that even though it fell out of the tray. 6. Unreceptive. Darpanna really doesn't want to talk to Anselm. Has no time for Anselm. And not interested in speaking to Anselm. So yes. So when Anselm goes up and says, well, so how long have you been with Captain Ren? And Darpanna will say, a while. It's been a while. Shouldn't you be getting ready for whatever it is you're supposed to contribute to this? Does Darpanna know why they're going? Let's find out. Again, I feel like that's a 50-50 chance, so does Darpanna know why they're going? 42, yeah, Darpanna knows. Darpanna says, you apparently are supposed to be some really exceptional, special scout. The entire mission rests upon your skills and your ability to get us through without any complications. frankly, for what I've seen so far, not terribly impressed. If you don't mind, I will go and continue actually doing my job. And I feel like Darpanna will turn around in the seat and let Anselm go about his business. And Anselm's like, well, great talking to you. This is going to be a fun week in Jump Space. All right, so goes Darpanna. Finally, he's going to go try to find Sid. Sid's the gunner. I just have a mental image of Sid. But we're going to roll. Is Sid... I kind of feel like maybe he's maintaining some of the guns, some of the machinery for the guns. Is that where he is? Let's see. Again, 50-50 chance. And 48. Yeah, that's exactly where Sid is. Sid is maintaining the guns. What does Sid look like? Let's find out. What does Sid look like? What is his appearance? Sid. 34. Features. Well, he has features. Isn't that great? Sid has features. I am actually going to roll. I keep saying he. Let's see, is Sid male or female? 1 to 3 is female. Nope. I've rolled a 6 for every roll about gender for these guys. So, Sid's a male. And Sid has features. His appearance is features. All right. I feel that means he has something on his face, something about his appearance, some feature that he has is really noticeable and prominent. That's how I take that. Let's see what else we have with appearance. And, 99, which is doubles, but it's over our chaos factor, so we don't have a random event. And wounded. Oh, dear. Wounded. All right. He is wounded. Features. I'm going to roll also just to see what is the feature. My thought is he either has a very large nose, has very large ears, or very large teeth. So 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6. What are the features that Sid is known for? And 6, teeth. He has these very large teeth that stick out of his mouth. Imagine Freddie Mercury, but like more so. He's got like 15 extra teeth in the top. His mouth sticks out like this. This is going to be his voice, by the way. Anselm finds him. He says, then I'm going to say this is taking place over the week. So this is not all in the first 10 minutes of the jump. He's met them, had a chance to talk to them without other people around, without anybody listening in, so he can kind of gauge the crew. And he does go back. He's going to see what is Sid's reaction. Sid is very busy cleaning out things. Maybe he's rewiring a few things with the guns, maintaining them, make sure they're going to work. The beam laser that they have. And what is his 9? That's another intrigued. So he is also intrigued by Anselm. And yeah, he's intrigued. He says, "Well, Anselm, yeah, very glad to see you here on the ship. I must say I was a bit surprised when they said there was a scout that lasted 5 terms. I mean, not to be rude, but you guys don't usually last that long unless you get out a lot earlier. So yeah, hopefully you're good as they say you are. And Simon seems to have a lot of faith in you. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot better about this whole mission." Does Sid know about the mission? Does he know what it is? 65 or less. And yes, Sid knows. Everybody knows what they're doing. So, oh yes, definitely. Yes, Sid knows what's going on. They're all excited about it. I feel like they're all looking forward to what's going to happen. So yeah, Sid's like, yeah, this is going to be great. I can't wait. We get that thing and we are on Easy Street. I'm going to buy a little place of my own, somewhere out, away from all the hustle and bustle. Just me, my collection of, lasers and guns and, well, maybe I'll start doing like maybe I'll do a safari. Go to some other planets and hunt down some of the animals and creatures. Yeah, that sounds like the kind of thing I'd like to do. Let's roll some motivation. Besides that, what is Sid's motivation? Let's see, character motivations. Sid is motivated. 18. Diminish. So Sid wants to diminish. And he wants to 16. All right. He wants to diminish and deceive. All right. Diminish and deceive. Deceive and diminish. Deceive and diminish. Okay. Yes. Going along with what he said about safaris and going out. I think what Sid really wants to do, and I don't know if he would mention this to Anselm, but he wants to make a whole safari, you take people out for hunting, and you tell them, oh, we're going to fight these, we're going to go hunt these really rare creatures, these very exotic, dangerous creatures, and they're like after, ox, or something that's, can be dangerous, but it's not known as a predator, it's not known like a tiger or a lion or a bear. So yeah, that's I think Sid wants to give the illusion of danger without there actually being danger, but not let people know that there's no danger. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking Sid wants. Sid's like, yes, I can't wait for this to happen, and then I can start my safari business that I've really wanted. You should look into it. If you're a scout later on, maybe I could use you as a tracker when we get. Of course, you're going to have a share of the money as well, I'm sure. So maybe you got your own thing you want to do. Yeah, I got to get busy putting these guns together. So I'll see you later when we get back to the system. All right. So everyone knows what's happening. And yes, so that is what happens. My next expected scene is that they do arrive in the Zarasian system, and they are able to get to the first planet without too much problem. Actually, let's stop. That was a scene. Let's change the cast factor down to 5, because it was just, a lot of talking happened, and nothing really happened that was different. Nothing that was not expected. So, let's roll again for our expected scene. So, expected scene is they come out of jump space near the Zarasian system, and they do head towards the first planet in the system, because that is where, the person he's been generous to, Simon's been generous to, is waiting to help them. 9. Yes, no, that is what happens. So they do jump out of the jump space. They do make their way to the first planet in the Zarasian system. Now, the other question is, do they encounter any other ships on the way? Because this could be a problem if they do. So, okie dokie, here we are. This is what I was looking for. We are on now page 55. So, typical activities. Arrive in star system. Scan area for potential danger, problems, and other data. They've done that. What is your name? I've forgotten your name already. Yeah, Darpana has done that. Everything is copacetic so far. They're setting the course, and we'll see if there's a possible ship encounter. And we do roll to see if we have an encounter, I believe. What do we roll? It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm having to remember all this again. So the Anastasia has left jump space. They are in the Zarasian system, and they are going to see, do we have an encounter? So they scan. So according to the typical procedures chart on page 55 in the Traveler book, first thing you do is you do check scans for anything untoward. They've done that. Darpana did that. Now we're going to see, do they have an encounter? So let's check this out. We're going to Zarasia, or in the Zarasian system. And that is, Zarasia is in 0703. Let's find that info. 0703, there we go. Alright. So, Starship Encounters. It is an A starport. You have a +2 if it's a naval base in the system, and a +1 if there's a scout base. There is a naval base, there is not a scout base. So we have a +2 to whatever we roll with an A starport. So let's roll 2d6. See if there is a ship encounter. So 6 + 2 is 8. And 8 gives us an R rating. And an R is a 400-ton subsidized merchant. So they do have an encounter. There's a 400-ton, a very large merchant ship going through. He has space at this spot. Not a huge surprise because, again, very important system. What is that ship's reaction to the Anastasia? This could be interesting. Let's see. 2 and 12. Okay. Here we go. What is their reaction? And that is 8. They're interested. All right, so I'm going to say they make note of it. They will see that they're there. Could be a complication later because they did meet this subsidized merchant. So later on when investigations happen, why this happened, this could be a potential complication. But they're not going to say anything about now. They do continue on. They get to the first planet. They see, if you remember what I did last time or what I rolled up, it is rocky. It is barren. There is nothing on this barren planet at the very first orbit of the Zarasia system. It is like you might imagine the first planet would be. Barren, rocky, hot, liquid metals like that, except for one very deep ravine. As the Anastasia does go flying over and getting near the ravine, they do encounter a fighter ship, which does come racing to meet them. This is where we will see, is this person going to follow along with their agreement with Symon? That is going to be a mythic roll. I'm going to say that we are still at Chaos Factor 5. I am going to say this is very likely. Very likely. Yeah. So it's a 75% chance or less that, yeah, they are going to go along, let them on there. And that's going to be a 46. Yes. I'm going to say that there is no communication because that kind of thing could be recorded. I'm going to say the Anastasia does come up. I'm going to say actually what happens is when that happens, the fighter ship, instead of coming up towards them, sees them at distance. It maybe does register the very edge of their sensors. The fighter ship does turn and start patrolling the opposite direction to give them time to do whatever they need to do. Now, I feel like this is the situation where before, if you remember the earlier episode, Symon sent Anselm down there by himself to see if he could find the device. I don't think Symon's going to do that this time. I think Symon's going to go, but I think they're also going to send people with him. They're going to send Sid, and I don't think they'd send Darpana because Darpana is frail and needs to work the sensor op to see, or the sensor array to see if somebody does show up. So the gunner Sid could go. Do we have Ren or do we have Allie? And I think Symon's going to go as well. So Symon, Anselm, Sid, either Ren or Allie. So I'm just going to roll 1 to 3 is Allie. No, 1 to 4 is Allie. I think it's more likely Allie would go. So 1 to 4 is Allie. 5 and 6 is Ren. Who goes with them? Ren. Ren goes. Ren says, all right, we're going to send out a party to try to find this device we're all interested in. It'll be myself, Anselm, obviously. Symon, I believe you're going to accompany us, and Sid. I believe I want Sid off there as well. Yes, Darpana, you keep an eye on those scopes. Make sure nobody gives us any sort of surprises. And Allie, make sure the engines are ready to go at a moment's notice in case we have to get out of here quickly. And they do put on the suits. I think we said last time, and I'll have to look my notes again, but I think we said last time it is a bit of an exotic atmosphere down here in the... Well, let me take a step back. So they do come towards the ravine. The fighter ship does leave. They do bring the Anastasia in near... I'm going to say they came close to where they originally found some of the wreckage. Anselm and Symon did find some. And they're going to land closer so they don't have to go through the wild area of the ravine to do some exploration. So they do come winging up. They do land. Some of the jets burning away some of the very lush vegetation. Some of the creatures go skittering and flying and chattering through the undergrowth and the brush as the ship does land. And they do start to leave. I'm going to see, because at one time I did roll also that Zarasia had sent some teams here to do a little more investigation about this as well. So, as the Anastasia lands, do they see evidence that there is a team from Zarasia that is here right now? That will make things a little more interesting. I'm going to say that's a 50-50 chance, and at Chaos Factor 5, that is literally 50-50. So, do they see signs that there is a team there right now? 34, yes. There is a Zarasian team on the planet right now. I'm going to say that maybe they see there are some shelters. So what I'm going to say is, yeah, they land. The Anastasia lands, and we have Ren, Anselm, Symon, Sid all gear up. They get some weapons, They probably have. I'll determine exactly what kind of weapons they have. But they get gear, they get communicators, they get the kind of things they think they're going to need. They get a variety of crowbars and the variety of crowbars, a variety of things they would need to open up locked doors, or perhaps things to power up some small electrical systems. They needed that. They will have things like that. Maybe they will want Allie. They'll have to come back and get him. But anyway, that's what they have right now. And they do head out. So we have Symon, Anselm, Sid, and Ren. They are heading out into the jungle. They don't go too far until they do see something they could not see from the aerial view where they landed. Because, again, this is, imagine the deepest, darkest, wildest jungle. That is what this is like. It is hard to see the ground because of all of the canopy. But as they go through, they do see that there are high-tech shelters. Somebody has built a very temporary, but a shelter where they are using as a base while the Zarasian group does check out this area. Let's see. Is there anybody there now, or are they all gone? Again, that's going to be 50-50 chance. Is there anybody there? Let's see. Is there anybody there? 13, which is not an extreme yes, but it is a yes. So, as they are all coming up, they do see these structures. They start looking around. They look at each other. They start being very, very quiet. And yes, I'm just going to say this. As they're around, they do see someone come out of one of the shelters, look and see them and say, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And that's all the time we have today. What will happen now that our happy little band has met a Zarasian explorer? Will things go sideways? More than likely. We will find out next time. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that. I know it was a lot of talking and me rolling dice, but I still hope it's enjoyable. Next time we will see what happens as they encounter this Zarasian person. Please like, subscribe, do all those things. You know how YouTube works. I appreciate it, and I will see you next time.